Sale of Goods Act, Sale of Goods Act. Please try to understand or give more importance for these two words. One is sale and another one is goods. The title of the act clearly says we are going to talk about goods and not gifting of goods or barter or exchange of goods. We are going to talk about selling of goods. Earlier, we had this provisions related to selling of goods in where? Contract Act. Okay, so we know this word, right? It's repealed from Contract Act, and as separate act we have subsumed as Sale of Goods Act. Okay, repealed and subsumed. So whenever you find any difficulty in understand the contract or understanding the sale and all, what we do? We go and refer the Indian contract. Okay. You need to understand this is somewhat like a special contract. Why we call this a special contract? It's not indemnity or guarantee, it's not bailment of pledge or law of agency. We treat this as a special contract in the sense because we are going to talk only about goods, first thing. In the sense we are going to talk only about selling of goods, second thing. And third thing, when we say sale, we are talking about only related to money or money's worth, equal to money. Because of this money or money's worth, hereafter, probably in general, we'll talk about consideration, something in return. But when we talk about Sale of Goods Act, instead of using the words consideration, it's not wrong. You can use the word consideration, but instead of using the word consideration, we use as price for goods. Okay, ஒருத்தர் என்ன பண்ணணும்? Goods deliver பண்ணணும். இன்னொருத்தர் என்ன பண்ணணும்? Okay, money. We have to discuss this topic in three angles. One is payment of money. Okay, one is payment of money. Who will pay the money? Buyer. Here will not say offerer or acceptor, will say buyer and seller. Okay, the buyer will pay the money. Okay, what the seller has to do? Huh? Yes, he'll deliver the goods. Okay, he'll deliver the goods. Okay, before that, deliver the goods, transfer the ownership. Okay, deliver the goods, transfer the ownership. So one person offering, another person accepting. It looks like as if it is a two act involved. Offering, accepting. But when we talk about Sale of Goods Act, three acts are involved. Okay, we have to discuss in three angles. One is from the point of buyer, what? He has to pay the money. That's only the promise. Only promise by the buyer is what? Pay the money. இங்க வந்து second thought இல்ல வேற ஏதாவது தரலாமா இல்ல அதெல்லாம் இல்ல. Okay, Sale of Goods Act னா பணம் தாங்க. When you talk about the seller point of view, two promises will be there. Even though it looks like one single promise, two promises will be there. One is what? He has to transfer the ownership. Usually, who has the right to possess the goods? The owner only, no. So it's the duty of the seller to deliver the goods to the owner. But there's a problem. When the ownership is transferred, it's a problem. இதை வச்சுதான் sale of goods act without. Okay, so before dealing all these, let me go for the introduction part, then I'll come back there. So 3.8 is on introduction. It's subsumed from section 76 to 120 of the 123 of the Indian Contract Act, subsumed from 76 to 123 of the Indian Contract Act. From when we have this act? First, July 1970. Sorry, 30. Scope, it's applicable only for sale of goods unless expressive. Why we say unless expressive means sometimes it will not be separable. Okay. If you talk about machinery movable or immovable? Goods are property. Machinery is goods. But when you attach with the land, the movable free operation, cement structures attach panna, we'll treat that as immovable. Okay. So on the case it becomes expressive. Non-applicability, sale of service. Please understand, we are talking about, you have to focus on two words talking about sale of goods only. So sale is one thing and goods. So you are talking about sale of service? No, it's not applicable. You are talking of pledging of goods? No, it's not applicable because we are talking about selling of goods. You are talking about barter? Not applicable. You are talking about exchange? Not applicable. You are talking about mortgage? Not applicable. Okay, because mortgage is about related to removal. Okay. Some important terms when you say movable property, when you say goods, it's a movable property in general. Probably it includes stocks, shares, forest products, trees, growing crops, grass, or any other things attached to earth or forming to the part of the land which are agreed to be severed. Please highlight. Severed, separated. Okay. Probably there is no two bullet points here. Can please strike out this one is a continuation of this. Growing crops, grass, and other things. சேல் பண்ணதுக்கு முன்னாடி என்ன பண்ணுவாங்கன்னா அந்த ஃபார்ம் லேண்ட காமிச்சு தான் சேல் பண்ணுவாங்க. அது கட் பண்ண பிறகு தான் ஆக்சுவல் கான்ட்ராக்டே வரும். ஓகே, இட் ஷுட் பி செவர்ட். ஓகே, அண்ட் எஃப்டிஆர்ஸ் அண்ட் ஆல். இட் இஸ் நாட் இன்க்ளூடட். ஈவன் மணியோட எக்கனாமிக்ஸ் நீங்க படிச்சிருப்பீங்க. மணினா என்னது? குட்ஸ்னு சொல்லிட்டு. நோ, ஹியர் ஆஸ் பர் த சேல் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் ஆக்ட் யூ நாட் கன்சிடரிங் மணி. Because when we talk about sale of goods act, one person's consideration is what? Give the goods, transfer the property. Another person's consideration is give the money. அப்ப மணிக்கு money consider பண்ண மாட்டோம். So money is not should be considered. And actionable claims, so far I discussed with respect to actionable claims, is treated under Transfer of Property Act. So it will not come under money. Okay. One more concept, when we talk about Indian Contract Act, we can talk about goods, we can talk about property. Property means immovable, goods means what? Movable. When you talk about movable, and that movable is related to selling of the movable goods, then we cover SOGA Act, Sale of Goods Act. If you are talking about immovable, whether it's mortgaging or gifting, whatever the things related to immovable, now movable is sale mottama SOGA. Okay, movable pledging na another Indian Contract Act, special contract. Whereas in the case of immovable, all the rights related to immovable, we'll go and refer Transfer of Property Act. As of now, we don't have this content in our syllabus, but for your understanding, please make a note of it. Okay. So when you say there is a selling of goods, directly we'll go and refer only sale of goods side. Even though we need to understand the concept from Indian Contract Act, the main focus is given on this sale of goods side 1930. Okay. So let me carry over. Here, when we talk about the word consideration, even though something in return, or the something vara special contract is what is the definition for consideration? Something in return. Here will not say something. Here, what is in return? Money and other thing is goods. Here we'll talk about the word property. Property na immovable and here property means the legal ownership of the goods. Okay. Form of contract, it can be expressed or implied or it can be in any other form. Deemed possession, yes, possession by the agent or carrier or payee of the buyer, we can consider it. Okay, deemed possession. Okay, definition, same, yes, please highlight. It's a beautiful term. It's a bargain between the buyer and the seller. You remember this counter offer? Counter offer நடக்கும்ல. Say I'm going to buy a property. Property means what? Goods. Okay, I'm going to a shop. Probably that may be a local market also. I'm going to a shop. Okay. அவன் வந்து probably I'm buying a coconut வச்சுக்கோங்க. He will say 50 rupees. நான் 50 rupees எல்லாம் கொடுத்து வாங்க மாட்டேன். பார்கெயின் பண்ணி 5 ரூபாய் குறைச்சாதான் எனக்கு சந்தோஷமா இருக்கும். அப்பதான் சட்னி போட்டு சாப்பிட்டு ஃபீல் கரெக்டா? So I ask for 30 rupees. Okay. He says I will not give below 50. I'll ask 35. He says will not below. அப்புறம் நான் அவனை சொல்லிட்டு சண்டை போட்டு லாஸ்ட் will fix it for 45. அப்பாடி. Okay. See what happens? There is a bargain happening. If you talk this in terms of Indian Contract Act, you will say it's a counter offer. There is no such concept called as counter offer in the sale of goods act. You know, what are the thing at last you entered? The 45, because we are talking about only two things. One is buying, one is selling. Here is nothing called as offer and acceptance. பார்க்கறதுக்கு offer and acceptance மாதிரி இருக்கும். ஆனா இங்க வந்து நம்ம offer and acceptance சொல்லவே மாட்டோம். Who is the offerer here? Buyer or seller? Not in this example, generally. Under sale of goods act, who is the offerer, who is the offering, who is the acceptor? ஆன்சர் சொல்லாதீங்க. சேல் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் ஆக்ட்ல ட்விஸ்ட் இருக்கும். சேல் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் ஆக்ட் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் ஆஃபர் அக்செப்டர் ஆஃபரிங் கான்செப்டே வராது. ஓகே, ப்ராப்ளம் அந்த ஆங்கிள் டிஸ்கஸ் பண்ணும்போது யார் ஸ்டார்ட் பண்ணாங்களோ ஆஃபர் அக்செப்டான்னு சொல்லலாம். பட் சேல் ஆஃப் குட்ஸ் ஆக்ட் பொறுத்த வரைக்கும் வில் நாட் யூஸ் திஸ் டர்ம் அட் ஆல். வில் யூஸ் ஒன்லி டூ டர்ம்ஸ், பையர் அண்ட் seller. Buyer can be an acceptor, buyer can be an offerer, no worries. We will not get confused. Okay. So who is the buyer? Who buys or agrees to buy? Who is the seller? Who sells or agrees to sell? What is this? Buying or agreeing to buy? Selling or agreeing to sell? Probably I'll go for defining the goods. Probably I'll go for defining the types of goods. There are three major types you can define. One is existing goods. Okay. One is future goods and one is contingent goods. Okay, existing, future, and contingent. Uh, Let us go for a shop. Shop lo poite I'm going to buy a TV. Okay, all the TVs will be displayed. Yeah, brand wise. In one brand they'll be saying that music system will be good, and in another brand the picture quality good are. Okay. Sometimes you might have seen this thing like it'll be like curvy semicircle, like on the mother different they're explained. So you go to a shop, you see all the display of goods. Then from that, probably you might be having an dilemma whether to go for brand A or brand B. Okay, so you do some selection work and all. Then at last you finalize with go for brand A. Sony போலாம் மியூசிக் நல்லா இருக்கும் அப்படின்னு சொல்லிட்டு டிசைட் பண்றீங்க. ஓகே, இது எல்லாமே என்ன தெரியுமா? எக்ஸிஸ்டிங். All the goods were displayed. Okay, this display of goods before it has been described, you call this as ascertained, unascertained goods. Unascertained means what? Yet to be described. Ascertained ஆகலனா இன்னும் அதை பத்தின description வரல. Yet to be ascertained. If described, so you based on that you do the selection. If described, you call this as ascertained goods. But which brand did you buy? Which is the last one entered into the contract, entered into the sale? That's what you call as specific goods. See, only for defining we say unascertained, ascertained, and specific. But which one will enter into the contract? The specific goods will enter into the contract. This is what you call as sale. Please try to understand this is sale. Okay, we are going to understand two angles. One is sale, and another sell. There's a difference in sale and sell. You go for English colloquial meaning. What do you mean by sale? Over, sold. What do you mean by sell? Yet to. If it is a future goods, then it is agreement to sell. We call it as agreement to sell because it's going to happen only in the future. If it is contingent goods, you will say agreement to sell. Why? It's going to happen in the future. What do you mean by contingent and future goods? Please try to understand what do you mean by future goods? What do you mean by contingent goods? Future goods. I go for ordering a furniture or a table எனக்கு வேணும். Perfect, comfortable இருக்கிற மாதிரி. I just go for all the designs. He describes who's the furniture person or the carpenter. He describes every design. I'm not okay with that. நான் என்ன சொல்றேன்னா எனக்கு இந்த மாதிரி ஒரு டேபிள் வேணும். கை வச்சா வலிக்க கூடாது. ஓகே, கம்ஃபர்டபுளா இருக்கணும். டேபிள் நல்லா பெருசா இருக்கணும். I'm just describing the things which I need. ஒரு ஃபீச்சர் பேஸ்டு. என்ன சொல்றாங்க, நீங்க பண்ற மாதிரி நீங்க சொல்ற மாதிரி பண்ணோம்னா கஸ்டமைஸ் தான் பண்றோம். ஓகே, கஸ்டமைஸ் பண்ணுங்க. எனக்கு ரேட் அதிகமானாலும் பரவாயில்ல. I'm not talking about the date. I'm talking about the features. So what he says is it will take 1 week time, which means what? Because of you, I have to manufacture or have to make the table. Please try to understand. It's not now in existence, but I have to make it for you. Another future. This is not contingent. Why? He clearly says I can make it. Okay. Table flat-ஆ இருக்கக்கூடாதுங்க. Table top flat-ஆ இருக்கக்கூடாது. curvy-ஆ இருக்கணும். என்ன பண்ணுவீங்க? நான் என்ன பண்ணிக்கிறேன், உங்களுக்கு என்ன? curvy-ஆ இருக்கும். Table டாப்னாலே எப்படி இருக்கும்? We can give the shape. Square, rectangle, oval, dining tables எல்லாம் இருக்குல்ல. பட் நான் சொல்றேன் curvy-ஆ இருக்கும். வேவியா. வேவியா வச்சா நீங்க அந்த டேபிள் டாப்ல நீ என்ன வேணா பண்ணிக்கோங்க. எனக்கு இப்படிதான் வேணும். ஓகே, பண்ணித்தரேன். Which means what? He can make it and he is confirming you call this as future goods. Contingentனா பண்ண முடியுமா இல்லையான்னு தெரியல. See, contingent contract. நம்ம கான்ட்ராக்ட்ல பார்த்தா இந்த contingent contract சொல்லணும். But what we are talking here about selling of goods, we call this as I have to harvest, I have to check and see how much it will weigh. Then only I can confirm. This is what you call as contingency. Okay. In the case of agreement to sell, the future goods and the contingent goods will fall under agreement to sell. Whereas in the case of sale, the sale of goods, it will fall directly with respect to specific goods. Okay. இப்போ வாங்க இந்த point. What they say? Let me clean the board. Who's the buyer here? Yes, please join. Who's the buyer here? Who buys, which means what? It's a sale. Or who's not buying now, but he's definitely will buy in the later. Agrees to buy, which is agreement to sell. Who's the seller here? Who sells? It's a sale. He's not selling, but he's agreeing to sell, which means what? Agreement to sell. A beautiful concept. You have to be very sure with this. Mercantile agent, yes, we know. I'm not going line by line. Classification of agent. Just now I discussed in law of agency. The same thing I have pasted here. So I'm not repeating. Document of title of goods. Yes, please highlight. When we talk about the seller's promise, we were discussing in two angles. You remember? One is transfer of ownership, another one with respect to delivery of goods. Okay. Here, document of title of goods means the person who has the right to possess. Okay. என்னோட goods, see, I'm a cycle manufacturer. Sorry, not manufacturer, retailer. நான் சைக்கிள் வந்து பல்கா வாங்கிப்பேன். எப்போ சேல் ஆகுதோ சேல் எல்லாமே நான் ஷோரூம்ல வச்சிருக்கேன். 1000 சைக்கிள்ஸ் இருக்கும். ஷோரூம்ல இட் வில் பி த குடோன். அந்த குடோன் இஸ் நாட் மை ஓன். என்னோட ஓன் குடோன் இல்லை. நான் என்ன பண்றேன், ஒரு ரெண்டுக்கு குடோன் வாங்கி அந்த குடோன்ல வந்து சைக்கிள்ஸை பிளேஸ் பண்றேன். ஸோ வென் ஐ செல் த சைக்கிள், ஐ கிவ் அ ரிசீட் சேயிங் தட், ஒரு அக்னாலஜ்மெண்ட். நீங்க அந்த அக்னாலஜ்மெண்ட் கொண்டு போய் கொடுங்க, அந்த இடத்துல குடோன் கீப்பர் உங்களுக்கு சைக்கிள் கொடுத்துருவாரு. ஹியர் யூ கேன் சென்ஸ் அ கான்ட்ராக்ட் ஆஃப் பேமெண்ட். பேமெண்ட் வருதா? I'm the owner of the cycle. I'm the retailer. I'm the owner of the cycle. I'm keeping all these cycles in the godown. That godown is not mine. So that godown keeper becomes the bailey. So contract of bailment in the bailey. When I give a receipt, he will give you the cycle to you. Any receipt, payment receipt, kamsha போடும். Delivered to seal பண்ணுவாங்கல்ல, shops la அந்த மாதிரி. One stamping will be there for what? Payment. Another stamping will be there for what? Delivery. That godown keeper will check your receipt. Okay, paid the stamping in the charge, he will deliver. Check பண்ண மாட்டாங்க, நீங்க எவ்வளவு பே பண்ணீங்க, கம்மியா பே பண்ணீங்களா, இன்ஸ்டால்மென்ட்ல பே, he will not check anything. Credit card billing, he will not check anything. What he will say? He will see the stamping. Okay, paid stamping, give it this, give the cycle. Appo who is giving the cycle to you? Bailey is giving the cycle. What the Indian Contract Act says? Contract of bailment is valid. Because that's a special provision on this. Once the contract of bailment is valid and the bailey is giving the cycle to you, which means he has the right to possess, that's what you call as a document of title of goods, which means he's holding the proof of the possession. He has a control of goods, probably by endorsement or delivery. It's an unconditional undertaking. நீங்க பே பண்ணீங்களா? அதெல்லாம் இல்ல. நீங்க பே பண்ணி தான் கொடுக்கணும். And is the evidence that the right over the goods is held by the possessor. Buyer has the right to receive the goods. I'm paying the money now. What right I'm getting? To receive the goods, to receive the ownership. And what's the duty of the seller? To transfer the ownership. Okay. List of documents. Here sometimes we'll be using these documents like bill of lading or delivery orders. See, document of title of goods. இதெல்லாமே one wordல வரணும். Wharfinger certificate, railway receipt warrant, order, warehouse keeper certificate, dock warrant, title deeds, multimodal. So you, like transport, logistics, multimodal. What are the things are not considered as documents? Share certificate not considered as documents because they have completely different angle, and makes visit not considered as stock. Okay. Property is nothing but right of ownership. Sometimes we'll be excluding the special property only if it is expressed. Okay. Quality of goods, probably when we talk about the goods, we say I buy a shirt for 100 rupees. The same design, the same other things are all same size, etc. I buy it for 500. Let me say, in the 100, probably because of branding, same quality, same size, everything is same. Because of the Louis Philippe logo, I'm buying 500, 500 or 5,000 or whatever. So, which means because of the state and condition, I'm paying 100. Because of the state or condition, I'm paying 500. So when we talk about quality, that quality is not the standard quality we are talking. That quality is what the state and condition I'm paying for. Okay. So that's about the intro section. I'm not going to deal this contract of sale today. Probably I request you to go for the content. We'll discuss in the next class in detail. I will request you to go for this table, especially this table. Before going for this table, you have to refer this classification of goods. This one I discussed. TV examples or So what are the three types of goods we have? Existing. Under that we can define as specific, ascertained and unascertained. And we have two more categories. One is future and another one is contingent goods. Okay. When we talk about future and contingent goods, we are talking about agreement to sell. But when we talk about specific goods, we are talking about sale. So sale of goods is what we are entering into. இத பார்த்துட்ட பிறகு probably have to highlight all these things and all. When you say existing means immediate ownership can be transferred, immediate possession can be transferred. This all will be there. After going through this, we can go for this table. For understanding this full table, you have to understand performance of a contract, breach of a contract, discharge of a contract. மூணு headings பார்த்துருப்போம்ல. What do you mean by performance? Performance by buyer, performance by seller. What do you mean by breach? Non-performance by seller, non-performance by buyer. How the contract gets discharged, how the sale gets discharged. Subject matter destroys, gets discharged. Goods are destroyed by fire is a law. For subject matter, contract gets discharged, which means sale of goods cannot happen. Because no subject matter, void ab initio, sorry, not void ab initio, void ab. So in that angle, you just refer this thing. Probably next class I'll go into it. Okay, so I want you to go for 3.1 immediately. Okay. Thank you for thanks.